Hi y'all, Kraken Latte here. This will be a guide on how to do the Deadmines pet battle dungeon. Even if you don't like pet battles, doing this dungeon at least once will unlock an account-wide portal that takes you near the Deadmines in Westfall. This is great for Horde players. For all you non-collectors, this guide will use tradable pets when possible so that you could just resell the pets when you're done with them. I'll go over what pets I use for each fight, as well as walking you through the movesets in real time. Alright, let's get right into it. First, you'll want to pick up the quest from your Borealis or Desaralor trainer. You can find it next to Manapoof, the pet dungeon portal NPC, at these locations on screen. Then, head to the Deadmines area in Westfall and speak to this NPC to get started. For our first fight, we've got the Foe Reaper 50. We're going to start with a Pandaren Water Spirit at 1/2/2. He's going to be doing most of the fighting, so you don't have to worry too much about your second and third pets. I like to pick elementals because sometimes things go awry and this guy hits a little harder than normal. So I like the Tiny Shell Spider at 2/1/2 and the Autumn Sproutling at 1/2/2. You never know, just in case. This guy can be a little nasty. So let's start with number 3 using Geyser. Then we'll use a number 2 so we can dodge some attacks and get a good hit on him. And number 1. And we'll keep using number 1 until our 3 and 2 are off cooldown. Number 1 again. And then we're going to use our number 3 because it's about to be off cooldown. There it goes. Number 2 is about to be off cooldown as well. I'm going to use that. And then number 1 again, while the other 2 are on CD. Now he's mechanical, so he'll come back for an extra little turn. Just keep using your number 1 on him. And since he's almost dead, go ahead for another number 1 because your number 3 isn't going to help you any. And there we go. Easy fight. For fight 2, we've got the unfortunate Defias. Very unfortunate fellow. And we're going to be using the Crimson Octopode with the abilities 1, 2, and 2. He's got some pretty good abilities here. I like those. Going with the Fledgling Warden Owl with abilities 1/1/1 and the Great Horned Owl with abilities 1/1/1. Now your second and third pet, you can use anything that has that third ability, but I like the birds. They work pretty good, so if you have those on hand, just use those. We're going to start with a bubble so we can dodge that first attack. And then we're going to go right into using Deep Bite. Now this ability, when used in succession, increases its damage. So it just hits harder and harder the more you use it up to a certain point. And since you're faster than this unfortunate soul, we're going to keep slapping him with our cute little octopode. Just keep using it. You could throw in a number 3 for a dive in there if you want, but it isn't entirely necessary since this guy isn't that hard. He'll come back for another round. This is when I like to use my number 3 so that I can dodge his other attacks, since me doing damage to him doesn't matter at this point. So he's gonna die, and I'm gonna hit the next guy instead. Look at that. Whack. Now because this crab is aquatic, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to one of my birds. Like the previous dungeon, if you saw those episodes, the backline pets are random in this case. So we're going to use Nocturnal Strike. That is a strong hit. Any abilities that are flying or beast or something like that as your backline pets will work just fine. I like the owls because they hit really hard. You don't have to use these abilities in any particular order. You're just doing cleanup on some basic pets. Nothing too much to worry about. And that one's done. Piece of cake. And for our third fight, we have the Angry Geode. Angry little cluster of crystals. We're going to use a Puddle Terror with 1, 1, and 2. He'll be using, kind of like the previous two fights, he'll be the bulk of your damage. I like to have Scooter the Snail as a second backup. He does some pretty good critter damage at 1, 1, 1. And the Terraclaw Hatchling, who you might have seen before in a previous episode, with 2, 1, 2. That one's pretty staple for these older dungeons. So, here we go. Put this poor ball of crystals to rest. Alright, I'm going to give him a good sploosh first. Going to use Dive. And you could have started with a number 2. I went straight for a number 1 because you're going to wreck this guy. So I used number 2 on the third turn. Just because you're not going to be taking a lot of damage. This guy's pretty easy. It gets harder later. So keep using your 1. And you take that guy down. Another number 1. Your heal is still going anyways. There we go. Gonna refresh that heal. Now you could switch out to one of your backline pets if you want. It would probably be smart for me to do that since this guy is flying. I'll switch to my snail. And I'm going to use Ooze Touch because that is super effective against him. I'm a little slower than him, but that is alright. Gonna throw some acidic goo on him to get a dot going. Probably should have done that first, but it works out. He's pretty easy, so he can be sloppy with these backline pets. It's alright. I mean, not too sloppy, but you know, make sure you still have your full team. Don't be sloppy if you got like one pet left. Now, it would be smart to switch to your Terraclaw Hatchling, but I decided to be kind of lazy and just stick to my snail. Because my snail does a lot of damage, and I didn't want my Terraclaw eating up that Whirlpool debuff that the snail still has, because that will pass over to the Hatchling. And I want the Hatchling later. Likely. Most likely I want him later, so. Throwing a Dive in there so I can stay alive and dodge that Whirlpool like a boss. And we'll just keep Ooze Touching him. We'll let the snail eat up the damage here and save Terraclaw for later. Probably won't use the snail again, so it's alright. And he's done. Goodbye, Krabby. Very nice. For fight number 4, we've got the Mining Monkey. He's cute and angry. We're going to be using the Mechanical Axe Beak with moves 1, 2, and 2. There's the Terraclaw again, using the 2, 2, and 2 this time. And a flyer or something else, a beast of your choice. I went for the Albatross Hatchling. It might be good to have a beast pet instead as a backline. That's just for the cleanup and stuff. Alright, let's use number 2. Let's go straight to Haywire. This will activate for a couple rounds here. And then we're going to use a number 3 directly after so we can dodge his attack. And get a good attack on him. Smack. And now for number 1. This guy has so many bananas. I think this monkey's the one that stole Donkey Kong's bananas. All his bananas. Alright, use number 2 again. That'll take him out and continue on to the next pet, likely. There we go. And if you want, you can switch out to one of your other pets, but you can just stick with the Mechanical Axe Beak and be just fine. Perfecto. Your Terraclaw likely has higher damage, but as you know me by now, I'm a little lazy, so I will just stick with my Axe Beak. Might as well save the Terraclaw for even later. Don't need him right now. No reason to waste him. Keep using Haywire. And this rat is dead. And there we go. No more monkey. For our fight 5, we have Captain Klutz. Yes, the actual Mr. Klutz here. We're fighting him directly, not his pets. We're going to be using the Ghostly Skull at 112. The important ability is number 3 there. Bone Shard at 111. And Bone Serpent at 111. Now this guy is a bit of a pickle. And there are many different teams for him. I went with this one just because I wanted to. I wanted to use these pets on him and make them work. But if you've got a different team for him, by all means, this guy can pose some problems. So I was cocky and used number 2 first. Don't do that. It's not going to matter because he heals himself and he'll stun you. So you should start with a number 3. So that's when you need to start because he heals, obviously. So my number 2 didn't matter. Switch to number 2, your pet 2, your Bone Shard, and going to go straight to number 2 for a Blistering Cold. It's going to put a debuff on him. And then we're going to switch to our Bone Serpent and put more dots and debuffs and things. Of course, we got to pass because he stunned us. Oof. But hit your number 1 as soon as he lets you. And then we're going to go with a number 2 after that. Now this fight gets a little dicey, like I mentioned, because this guy is a literal beast. Not sure why we're fighting a person. But, you know, whatever. Use your number 1 again when that's on cooldown. Just kind of keep bouncing between your 1 and your 2 to keep those debuffs up. And the Blistering Cold from Bone Shard will keep going in the meantime. And number 2. And your Bone Shard goes down for one more round. Refresh your number 1. That way he still has Bone Barrage on him, despite you being dead. See, look, he's getting down there, but he'll heal a couple times. This fight can be challenging, since the Black Claw and Flock meta was kind of nerfed. It doesn't work quite as well on this guy, so you can use Bone Shard to finish him off, and you're good, just like that. It can be a little dicey, so keep that in mind. Now we have fight 6, Klutz's Battle Rat. Looks like Klutz had his pets of his own, and we're fighting them directly instead of, you know, him using them. We're going to be using the Anubiseth Idol, using 1, 1, and 1. He's going to be doing almost all of the attacking, so. But Terraclaw Hatchling is good backup, using 2, 2, 2. And I went with Bonkers. You can go for any third pet of your choice that is 25 in blue, of course, at 1, 2, and 2 for Bonkers is what I chose. Here we go. We're going to start off with a Sandstorm, number 2. Get some low visibility and damage going, and then hit number 3. And number 1. Now I was a bit dumb here, and I should have waited to use number 3. I made that mistake for you so you could see it. I should have saved the deflect for when that rocket goes off, but it's okay because you're humanoid, so you heal a little bit. It seems to be a passive thing that they do. See, now that that rat just built that rocket, now this is when we deflect and use number 3. So learn from my mistake, but that's okay because we still beat him anyways. Do another number 2. Get your Sandstorm back up now that that's off cooldown. Keep that fresh. And keep using your Crush on him. It's okay if it misses. The Sandstorm causes a 10% reduction in hit chance, so 90%. But that's okay. That's okay. The rat doesn't do a whole lot of damage. to your Anubis idol. Keep using your crush. Save that deflect. Be a smart player. And we didn't need it again anyways. Oh, look at that. The important one is dead and your idol is still alive. Now, I could switch to my Terraclaw, but as is tradition with me, it seems like I'm a little lazy. So I just keep going with my idol, which is a little slower, so you could just switch to your others and clean up the back line like you've seen before. But that's okay. Whatever. I'm showing you that you can be a little lazy with these backline pets, and it's not too big a deal so long as you're not on your last pet. Be smart with your laziness, my young ones. And old ones, and whatever age you are. Doesn't matter. Just keep using your number one, your crush. If you stay with the idol like I did, you'll get him down eventually. It's a bad parrot. I went ahead and refreshed my sandstorm since that disappeared. Does pretty good damage on its own anyways. And we're going for another crush. Crush, crush, crush. Now, keep in mind that it would be smarter to switch to your Terraclaw or something so it's faster, but as you can see, we won anyways. Huzzah! For fight number 7, we have Klutz's Battle Monkey, another monkey. And we're going to go with the Personal World Destroyer. Great name. For 1/1/2, we're going to do Terraclaw Hatchling as our second again, just in case, at 2/2/2, and an Ancient Nest Guardian is my pet of choice. You can pick any pet in third at 1/1/2 for me. And here we go. Now for this, we're going to use Quake. Now this is a cleave ability, as it hits the backline pets too, so it doesn't look like it's doing a lot of damage, but it's hitting everybody, not just the main pet. Which, that is a useful strategy in some fights where the backline pets can be a bit vicious. And you just want to stick with the first pet as much as possible. You'll see that a couple times in some of the other later dungeons. See, it's hurting those back pets too. Even though my Personal World Destroyer is actually getting personally destroyed, that's okay. Because if you're watching, I snuck in a repair. Haha, making you watch as well, not just listen. Probably not very nice of me, but that's okay. Keep using your Quake. And you don't need to use your repair again, but you'll use, because you're gonna die like that, obviously, but you're mechanical, so you come back for a round, so you can punch him again. So at the very beginning there, you would have used 2 Quakes and a repair directly after, just to clarify. But the monkey is down, no harm done, and we are going to keep using Quake so we can just keep taking out these backline pets, because who needs them, right? Parrot and crab for dinner. The crab would be good, but the parrot probably wouldn't. Can you eat parrot? You probably can. Alright, time for the Terraclaw, since my World Destroyer was wrecked. It's going for a number 1. Gonna take out that crab pretty immediately. And that fight is done. That was a cleave ability. Just like that. And for fight number 8, we have Klutz's Battle Bird. Parrot time. Alright, we're going dragons this time. We want the Stormborn Whelpling at 1/2/2, and an Azure Whelpling or something else that has arcane abilities in the second slot. And the Anubis idol can be in the third. You really won't need the second and third pets, because that Stormborn is just going to wreck house. But if you do end up needing them, that's why you want to make sure you have good second and third pets. So here we go. Alright, we are going to start with a number 3, which is Arcane Storm. That will change the weather to Arcane Storm, which apparently is a type of weather. Glad we don't get those here in the real world. Gonna go with a Mana Surge directly after. which is amplified by the storm, so that's kind of neat. And that's going to attack 3 times. So that parrot is already wrecked. And the next abilities are going to hit the backline pets. It's only 2 times. My bad. I can't count, apparently. But regardless, it's absolutely destroying him. Alright, now let's do some tail sweeps or whatever you might have in your first slot if you're not using this part. Using this pet, rather. And done. That was probably the shortest fight in history. And for fight 9 and the last fight, we have cookies leftovers. Yummy! Now we have the Mechanical Pandaren Dragonling at 1, 2, and 2, the Terraclaw at 2, 1, and 2, and the Infinite at 2, 1, and 2. Now, your third pet doesn't really matter, I say that, but this guy actually can be a bit of a pain. And you'll see here that things actually go awry for me, because he keeps hitting me a little harder than normal. So let's start with the number 2, then we're gonna hit, or number 3, excuse me, and then we're gonna then we'll hit a number 2. And then we'll go for a number 1 and just use those on cooldown. Now, normally this would take him out, but thanks to the, I'm assuming the 9.0, or pre-patch rather, nerfs, this guy's just eating me alive. Look at that. Oh, that's okay though. That's why we have good backline pets. Yep, there's that sleep. Yuck. Let's pass. Gonna use our number 2 since that's off cooldown. Luckily I come back for another turn. We're gonna throw up a decoy since that is now off cooldown. And then keep using breath out of desperation as much as you can. But this poor dragonling isn't gonna last too much longer. Smack. Oh, almost. Yep. And I'm asleep again. This is why you want good secondary and third pets. Regardless of what people might say. You never know. Things can happen, man. And especially if you're in challenge mode. So go with a number 2 and then do a number 1. Just keep using number 2, the dodge, on cooldown. If you have to use your Terraclaw like me. This guy is being a pain. Look at that, he's just destroying my Terraclaw. It's that darn sleep. If I timed it better, I could dodge the sleep, but you know, bleh. Yep. I tried to use my 1 there, thinking it would kill him, and it didn't. And now we're down to our last pet. That's why you want good pets in all 3 slots. I went with the Infinite Hatchling here, as you can see. You could pick whatever you want, but something that can finish him off. And there we have it! You have completed the dungeon! Congratulations! If that was your first time, you now have your delicious Deadmines portal, which is so nice for the Horde, let me tell you. And thank you so much for watching, as always, and remember, it's never too latte.